Welcome to the third annual Guy Boston Sports Super Bowl Roundtable. This is our city.
Hello, and welcome to the Guy Boston Sports Super Bowl 53 Roundtable. I'm your host, KJ Doyle, and I'm joined by Evan Singleton and Shawn Palmer, all of us, of course, from GuyBostonSports.com for our third annual Super Bowl Roundtable. And actually, I couldn't for the life of me find the first one. I found the second one, and then the first one was nowhere to be found. But now I remember that the first one we did was actually on the original Boss Talk, and we didn't officially label it like we are now, but nevertheless, we're calling it the third annual. We're calling this one 30 only, even if, Evan, it was the original version of your podcast before you restructured the new version, and you now have Shawn with it. But it counts. I'm counting it.
Still, like the title of this is gonna say third annual. You better believe that. It is.
Right. So we're gonna run through and break down this year's matchups in the New England Patriots and the Rams and stuff. Shawn, you're gonna be on first here, and I know that we're gonna have a rotating cast of guests joining us periodically. Shawn's gonna be first, and then we're gonna have Drew Athans next, Justin Brooks next. We're gonna talk about them there, but they're both of GuyBostonSports.com as well. But we'll get to that later. Let's start off with this, Shawn. Shawn, I know you have a few points you want to make about this game. So where do you want to start, Shawn? Where do you want to start off with this game? I know you have a few key matchups, a few key players you want to get to.
Absolutely. And how lucky are we that we get to do this 3 years in a row?
Yeah.
No teams can do that. I mean, they can talk about our Patriots, but they don't have their team going to the Super Bowl 3 years in a row. So I hope this happens the next couple of years until Brady retires, but this is awesome. All right. So this is going to be a great matchup. It's a rematch from 2001. A lot of people are thinking that we're going to destroy the Rams, but honestly, I don't know how you guys feel, but I think this is going to be a tough matchup with Aaron Donald, and I can't pronounce the other guy, the dirtiest player in the league,
And
Sue.
Dominican Sue, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So I think the biggest key for me is the offensive line. They need to protect Brady. We cannot have guys rushing up the middle, and that's kind of my if we're not able to stop the rush, I think we're going to have a hard time winning this game. I won't give you my prediction yet, but that's just what I want to start with.
Yeah. Well, he has to brew his prediction every single year. The Wizard Palmer isn't earned. I mean, it's not a nickname you just get out of nowhere. You got to earn it. So
what's that nickname that Kenny gave me?
It's Nostradamus.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, getting back to your point, Shawn, about the offensive line, yeah, it's amazing because, Nate Solder leaves in the offseason, and all of a sudden everybody looks at it and says, oh, well, how the Patriots offensive line is decimated. They were losing all their weapons. They lost Nate Solder, who, honestly, I was never a fan of. I never thought Nate Solder was that good. He was always missing blocks to me, and it was pretty evident, but apparently the rest of the NFL was fooled. But yeah, this year they bring in Trent Brown to replace him, and he has been unbelievably amazing. He's going to be a free agent after this game, so they're going to have to figure that out. But yeah, a lot of people are coming into this game questioning, you beat up the Chiefs defensive line, you beat up the Chargers defensive line, and now you're facing Aaron Donald's really a murderer's row of defensive lines they faced. And I talked about this with Shane on the podcast earlier this week, but yeah, it is just one after another legendary defensive lines that you're facing. Multiple players that'll probably be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe not on the Chiefs, but you're talking about Joey Bosa, Aaron Donald. They're two young studs that are probably going to have great careers in this league, and probably will one day be in the Hall of Fame. So yeah, I mean, the offensive line holding up is huge for the run game and the pass game, and I guess we'll just have to see who comes out on top, because I know for a lot of people that's the deciding factor in this game.
Yeah, it has been for the Patriots almost all this whole playoff run, right? What was the story after they shut down Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa? It was like that offensive line was awesome. And same thing with the Chiefs. So I see that is not only the Super Bowl, but if they do end up winning this game, I think you got to credit it to, obviously, Tom Brady stepped up in the playoffs and the surrounding cast. But what did he do? He barely got touched. Hopefully it goes that way, though.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. He's been able to literally step up in the playoffs. He can step up in the pocket, release the ball as fast as he wants. There's been no pressure. It's been awesome. What were you saying, Kenny?
I was just going to say, if there's anything else you want to talk about besides the offensive line, I know what was the other point that you had there?
I was going to say my kind of dark horse for me in this game is going to be Chris Hogan. The guy's been hiding in the shadows all year. I know you love Philip Dorsett. I'm sure he's going to do something. But Chris Hogan has just been waiting to break out. I think he's going to go off for 2 touchdowns, maybe 100 yards plus. I think he's going to really surprise the Rams. He's going to go out and get it.
I mean,
get that Super Bowl ring.
That would surprise everybody.
I know, even Chris.
I
Saw that big catch he had last week. He could come out here and just put on an absolute clinic and maybe be our Danny Amendola of this season.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
It would surprise me if he did that only because I think he's going to get a keep to leave. If he doesn't get a keep to leave and he gets Marcus Peters, I think the Patriots could definitely exploit that matchup because Peters struggled massively, not in the NFC Championship game against the Saints, but the first game of the season that they played against the Saints. Peters struggled massively when he was guarding Michael Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see the Patriots kind of scheming around that and having some effective game plans to attack Marcus Peters specifically in this game. So if that's the matchup we see, I could really see that. But to me, it's really going to depend how they use Talib. Some people are talking about, will they put him on Edelman? Maybe they even put him on Gronk and you use him to double Gronk if that's, something they decide to do. But yeah, it's going to be whoever basically has that Marcus Peters matchup. I could definitely see going off, and it very well could be Chris Hogan if you look at the matchups.
And Peters talks a lot of shit, and he hasn't really been putting his money where his mouth is. And who is the guy that was talking shit about Brady this week and also had the obvious pass interference? Yeah, who is he going to be guarding? Because he is going to get lit up.
He calls himself the slot god. The slot god. So,
right? Yeah, he is going to be guarding. That's what they're saying. Yeah, he's going to be guarding Julian Edelman.
Which that's such bulletin board. Yeah. Right. You know what's cool about Talib? That for Patriots fans, I've heard rumors that he might be a little banged up. So and I heard on the radio today that when Talib's not on the field, the opposing or not when he doesn't play games, the opposing team averages 31 points a game, and then when he is playing, they average 18 points a game. So it kind of shows how Aqib Talib, how important he is for that Rams defense. And you know what? I hate to jinx it, but maybe if he is a little hurt, that is a massive, massive blow to the Rams defense and a massive, upcharge for the Patriots. Obviously, there's nothing confirmed. Like I don't think they've released any sort of injury report on him or anything like that. But it's around there. It's floating around. I'm not just making that one up.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we'll have to see whether that'll play a factor or not. I would be surprised that they've had 2 weeks here since the Saints game. He did play pretty well in that game. So, I mean, they held that offense down pretty low. The Saints offense has been struggling recently, but that's still one of the best offenses we've seen. But yeah, I mean, obviously Aqib Talib, the numbers you just mentioned there are astonishing how important he is to that defense. Shawn, is that it for you? Or you're going to have to jump off?
I'll give you my prediction. I know you guys have been kind of waiting for this, and this is why people are going to listen to this podcast, is to hear my prediction so they can sleep well tonight. So the final score is going to be 34-24, and the winner of Super Bowl 53 will be the New England Patriots, and Tom Brady will get his 6th ring, not his last ring, but his 6th one.
Wow. Shawn's been saying that on the Boss Talk all year long.
Yeah, I haven't given up on this. I didn't get a tattoo like the Spike King, but I've kept it in my head.
All right, yeah.
It was definitely a pretty bold prediction, Shawn. All right, yeah, go eat, Shawn. Take
I'm gonna go eat a Subway.
Oh, okay.
Subway. This podcast is not sponsored by Subway, but
you've said Subway 3 times.
Yeah. Not yet. Give it time.
All right, Shawn.
Go Patriots. Have fun, guys.
All right, we have to move on because Shawn is gone, unfortunately, but we are joined by our first guest of the show, Drew. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, happy to be here, guys, and let's talk Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
All right, Drew. The first thing I want to start with is, I do want to talk a lot about kind of where people were a month ago, because that is so interesting to me, because a month ago, nobody would have thought they would be here, especially after some of the losses. Particularly the one I want to focus on with you is the Dolphins one, because you wrote an article actually in December and you said, I've been waiting all season. One of the lines in there, you said, I've been waiting all season to try and figure this team out and see how they develop, and I've just about given up. How do you feel now? Do you think you finally figured them out?
Yeah, I think I'm eating a little bit of crow now, but I'm happy to be doing so.
Well, not eating. I don't want to bring that up to call you out. I'm just saying.
Wow,
I'm
big
just
shot.
wondering, how have your thoughts changed since then?
After that loss, and then even the Pittsburgh game the week after, I just thought, man, this is just not the year, and maybe this really is the end of the dynasty. And then they finished off the season strong with those 2 wins against Buffalo and New York, and I'm still thinking, okay, those teams they suck. I mean, they were good wins, but not against good competition. But I mean, seeing the way they played in the playoffs against LA and Kansas City, it's like a different team now. I mean, I would not have predicted it a month ago.
So one of the things you said was specifically, I've been trying to figure them out, and specifically on figuring them out. Do you feel like from that standpoint specifically that you know what this team is, or do you still kind of question that? Because I wouldn't blame you if you did, because it is only a couple games here, and are you still wondering, or what team are we going to get on Sunday, or are you specifically like, I know what this team is? Because that's kind of what I want.
I feel like I do understand them a little better now. I think they've kind of. I know it sounds weird. It almost sounds like they finally found an identity and are running with it over the last couple of playoff games, and even
literally running with it, right?
Well, that's the thing. All season it was like, are they a running team? Are they a passing team? Are they a team that's going to try to get pressure up the middle on defense? I mean, it was just, they were all over the place.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was going to say those last two games in the regular season and then in the playoffs, all of a sudden they're just playing really cohesively, and it's like, okay, this is what we've been waiting for all season.
I know. It seems like we've seen this philosophical shift from this team all of a sudden, and the team with the greatest quarterback of all time is a running team. Is that crazy? Doesn't that sound crazy?
It's so weird. I mean, the last time I remember the Patriots having a running game this dominant was, back in the the Corey Dillon. Yeah, I think that was 2004 when they had Corey Dillon, and back then Brady, he was a great quarterback, but he wasn't Tom Brady. He wasn't racking up the yards and the touchdowns. I mean, he was still kind of sort of a game manager then. So the fact that they're doing it now, this power running game with Brady being Brady, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Drew, you probably have a little bit fonder of a memory of, you talk about those days of the Patriots. You have a little bit fonder memory of the last time the Patriots played the Rams in the Super Bowl than Kenny and I do. Yeah. What do you think, the vibe going around, just sort of Patriots Nation as a fan, even what you're seeing from the team, what is the difference between like the Patriots being in the Super Bowl then compared to now? Because I would imagine it's almost like people either have taken it for granted or just get used to it now compared to then. But what do you see the difference in, in terms of New England being in the Super Bowl then compared to them just being in it now?
I mean, I think there's definitely a bit of, I don't want to say taking for granted, but definitely people expect it now. I mean, we've seen so many Super Bowl appearances. 9 in the last 18 years.
This is the third annual Roundtable.
Yeah. I mean, back in 2001, it had been about 5-6 years since they'd been in the Super Bowl before. That was the Bledsoe Super Bowl when they lost to the Packers. I mean, it was just weird. It was like, how did we get here? We lost Bledsoe in the second game of the season. Who's this Tom Brady kid?
Yep.
They make it all the way through the playoffs. It was almost a happy to be there kind of feeling, at least for me, and remembering back, it's a long time ago, but kind of the feeling that I don't, we all wanted them to win and we were all rooting for them. I don't think anyone necessarily expected them to win. I mean, honestly, I didn't.
Yeah.
My hope was that they just didn't get blown out. Mm-hmm. Now I think we've seen them win so much that we expect them to win. So when they don't win, like last year against the Eagles, it's shocking.
Yeah, it's
right. Something that kind of stands out to me about that is that a lot of people talking about something we're going to talk about later, which is just this whole thing of nobody believes in us, right? But the whole reason, the whole basis on which they have to say nobody believes in us is the fact that nobody believed they'd get back to the Super Bowl, which is such a ridiculous standard. It's like people are playing clips of Stephen A. Smith saying this team is done, and my standard for saying that is that they will not get back to the Super Bowl. That's pretty insane standard, and it is just crazy that that's the one they've set, but that's how they became one of the greatest dynasties, probably the greatest dynasty in all of football.
So, but Drew,
absolutely. I mean, back in 2001, no one believes in us. Okay, you could understand that. I mean, who the heck were the Patriots back then? They won 5 games the year before, and then they kind of have this miracle run. Yeah, nowadays it's silly. I mean, whatever they need to motivate them, if it works for them, great. But I mean, come on, everyone believed in them. Like you said, we all expected them to at least make it to the AFC Championship game. So that's a pretty good standard.
Yeah. So do you, is it safe to say that you had no idea that was the beginning of something special, or was there a little bit of that kind of overarching the Patriots Nation and obviously the organization itself? Did you start to think, okay, this guy is the real deal. We have a real team, a real coach, all of that stuff, Is it?
I mean, I remember very vividly after, winning the Super Bowl was awesome. It was great. But I remember very vividly, in that offseason, talking with my friends and listening to the media. And, my belief and a lot of people going around, the papers and the radio and everything was, Bledsoe, he's going to be healthy. Mm-hmm. He should get his job back. He's been here a while, et cetera. Brady, yeah, he was great. But everyone kind of thought it was fluky. And then I'm not ashamed to admit this, but, the 2002 season, they finished 9-7. They missed the playoffs, even though they had the they were tied with, I think it was Miami for the best record in the division, but they lost on the tiebreaker. And I remember saying to my wife, we had just gotten married. That's how long ago this was. But I remember saying to my wife, see, I told you, they should have brought Bledsoe back because, Brady couldn't even get him to the playoffs this year.
Really?
And then the year after that, they went, I think they won either 12 or 13 games and, they won the Super Bowl again. It's like, okay, maybe he is the real deal. And then the year after that, I think they won 14-2. They win it again. And then it was like, okay, forget it. This is the best quarterback I've ever seen.
Yeah. So after from his second Super Bowl, you were like, maybe this guy's pretty good. And then once he won his third, you were like, greatest.
Yeah, at that point.
No, I'm messing with you.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I know. But it's like at that, I never thought I would have seen them win one. So they won that one against the Rams. It was awesome. But it's like, 3 of them in 4 years. Come on, this is crazy. Who would have expected this from the Patriots?
Yeah. The last thing before we get out of here with you is just this. A lot of people are comparing this team to 2001 and saying, it's a better coaching job by Belichick and, it's a more impressive run. Do you think you can compare the two teams? Is this a more impressive run? Because really, you look at the run up to this game, the Chargers and the Chiefs, I had this pointed out to me today, both of them had a better record than the Patriots.
Yes.
And then if they beat the Rams, all 3 teams they will have beaten will have had a better record than them, which is crazy. Just what are your thoughts surrounding this ongoing comparison between these two teams that's happening right now? One, because they're playing the Rams again, but the other just because they are both, really incredible coaching jobs.
Yeah, they are. I think I said toward the end of this season, I said, if Belichick gets them to the Super Bowl this year, it might be his best coaching job ever, just based on the talent. They've got talent on the team, obviously, but it's not what we're used to seeing, especially on, I would say on offense and then like kind of the linebackers. The Patriots, the hallmark of the Patriots in the 2000s was always they have great linebackers. And, that's been kind of weak lately. But I don't know. It's tough to go against that first team because, Belichick was not Bill Belichick back then. He was coming off a 5-win season and,
right.
There was a little bit of, maybe this wasn't the guy. Maybe we shouldn't have hired him. And, for him to get that team and a young Brady and that Rams team, a lot of people don't remember how dominant the Rams were back in the late 90s, early 2000s. It really was the greatest show on turf. It was a track meet every time they played. And the fact that Belichick came up with this great defensive game plan and he held them to 17 points and they won that game, that's pretty tough. But if this year isn't his best, it's up there. It might be second.
Evan, you want to go somewhere here? I know. Me and Drew have been going back and forth a lot. You haven't been able to jump in very often. Do you have somewhere to go with that?
We'll get to kind of a rapid fire here. So what's one dark horse player that you think, a guy that's gonna kind of break out? Not the obvious answer. Like a Tom Brady's gonna have a good game. No, who's your dark horse? It can be on either side of the ball.
I got a feeling like Chris Hogan is going to have the good game. He's been pretty banged up this year.
That's what Shawn said too.
Yeah, I'm almost seeing him having like a Danny Amendola type of game. Amendola, the last couple Super Bowls was awesome, and I kind of see Hogan doing that.
Yeah, that's Shawn had a very similar take. So we might be seeing some here. Guy Boston might be starting to paint the picture here.
Guys, this was not planned. This was total accident.
Total coincidence.
You guys almost said similar things. I don't know how if Shawn went into the Danny Amendola.
No, he did. Yeah, Shawn said it. Shawn said he's going to be the Danny Amendola this year. So wow. Geez, I might have to rethink my dark horse and just go in there.
Put all your money down on Chris Hogan. Whatever it's over.
Pound the over. Yards, receptions, touchdown score. All right. So you're taking Chris Hogan as a dark horse. So what about a key to the game?
I think the Patriots, they need to protect Brady. The Super Bowls they've lost, really I'm thinking about the 2 Giants Super Bowls.
Yeah.
They were allowing a lot of pressure up the middle and Brady was just hurried. If the offensive line can play the way they've been playing those first 2 playoff games and they can contain, especially I'm thinking Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
If they can contain those guys and if they can establish the run, I think that really opens up the offense and then I think they can do some damage.
Yep. They've done it so far.
Yeah, the offensive line's obviously what we talked about that too just recently. It is those are the keys of the game. That battle on the defensive line will be huge. Drew, we appreciate the time. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks,
what's your official score prediction?
I think the Patriots. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this is the one Super Bowl they're gonna win out of this run that is actually not within 3 or 4 points. So let's say I'll say 31. I'll say 31-21.
All right.
Yeah,
We'll see what
heard
happens.
that before. I've heard that before. I think maybe even a year ago. But no, yeah, Drew, we do thank you for coming on, guys. We'd be silly not to mention too. Drew, be sure to check out his book. He published it a little over a month ago about the Red Sox, A Win for Every Stitch, Fans Diary, the 2018 Boston Red Sox season. Be sure to check that out. Got it published, got it written, everything. So, it's spring training's coming up too, so it's a great read. But Drew, we do appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the Roundtable.
Thanks, guys.
All right, our next guest here is Justin. Justin, of course, the host of the Cheap Seats Pod with your dad and friends, and you guys post every Sunday after the game. And the one you didn't post was a game we already talked about, which was the Dolphins game. But I want to ask you this because the next week was the Steelers game, and I just want to ask, when that game happened, they lose to the Steelers coming right off of that loss to the Dolphins, right? At that time, would you have believed that the Patriots would be in the Super Bowl again?
Hell no. And I would be stupid to say yes, but I'm not gonna take the ESPN Fox Sports route and hit, the ultra panic button. This is the end of the dynasty kind of thing. But I don't know. It just felt like, and I mean, I wrote about this. It felt like this team just lacked identity all season, and that became very apparent in that Steelers game.
Right. It's crazy. It's something we actually just talked about with Drew, just the identity. Do you feel like they found it now, that they're a running, even with the greatest quarterback of all time, their identity is a running team?
I mean, if that's the case, that's awesome. Because I mean, we haven't had like that ridiculous running back. I mean, I know I'm only like a few years older than you guys, but I mean, I vividly remember watching Curtis Martin just kind of like bulldoze people and just make them look like children. But Sony's been very fun to watch this season. I mean, I can't say I haven't enjoyed watching a rookie come in here and, run for 250 yards and 5 touchdowns in his first postseason.
Oh my God. Amazing. I think that's a record, even rookie record for rushing touchdowns in a postseason. And the other thing is that, he kind of at the beginning of the season, he didn't really remind me of anyone. He kind of, honestly, it took me a while to kind of come to the realization that he's a little bit like Mark Ingram in a lot of ways. And which is funny because his draft comparison was Alvin Kamara, and he's kind of the opposite of that, really, in terms of that Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram are both on the same team, but he's more like the other guy on that team, and Mark Ingram, than Alvin Kamara, really, in his play style. But I mean, yeah, a lot of people have come out and actually said that he can't be as effective in the playoffs. But when the moments really mattered, it was Rex Burkhead on the field. It was, I mean, with 4 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go, whatever it was, Sony Michel ran in for the go-ahead score in that game, and then the Chiefs came back and scored. But people are forgetting that he was still huge in that game. He, almost had the game-winning touchdown, before Patrick Mahomes.
People are just doing like the recency bias on that. Like they remember the 2 touchdowns by Burkhead, and then you're thinking, oh, crunch time, Burkhead was the guy that won it for the Patriots. But realistically, all game long, it was Sony Michel carving them up when he could. Even when the did the Chiefs go big or small, whatever they did, and it kind of shut down the run game, they were still giving them the ball and saying, hey, let's try and establish this. So, I mean, I've seen it too, Kenny. People saying that Burkhead is the almost was like the running back MVP of there, but that's just, you're just remembering the touchdowns then, because Michel was carving it up.
Yeah, I mean, Justin, do you think that we're going to see something similar in this game as far as just a run-heavy attack, or do you think they're going to try to catch the Rams off guard? This is something I've been talking about. Just, is there a chance the Patriots, I don't want to say overthink it, but just try to switch it up and say, if the Rams are going to be expecting us to run, maybe we should switch it up and pass, catch them off guard? Or do you think, do what we do, we're the best running team, we know they don't have the personnel to stop it? Kind of like the Chargers. I mean, listen, and I think this is actually very similar. The Chargers came in off that Ravens game, right? And they stopped the Ravens run. And when they came in, I said, people want us to run the ball, even though, people were saying, oh, it's because the Chargers, they don't have very big linebackers. They're all kind of weak up front, so you can run on that team. And I was thinking, they just shut down the best rushing attack in the league. The Ravens had more rushing yards than anyone. And now everybody wants us to run the ball against the Chargers because they have this personnel doesn't match up. Like, they just proved they could stop it. And then the Patriots come out and they run all over the Chargers. So, hey, I guess I was wrong. So now I look at this game in kind of the same way. The Rams stopped the run against the Saints, stopped the run against the Cowboys. And the Cowboys are a very similar team to the Ravens in that respect. And I said, and now I'm looking at it and saying, well, with the Chargers, they were still able to run on them because of the personnel. So do you think I'm right on that it's a similar type of thing here? Or how do you feel about that aspect?
I mean, I feel like the Patriots might test the waters in the first quarter just to kind of see what the Rams aren't prepared for. But I don't know. I mean, the Rams have done a good job of shutting down running teams, but I don't know how their defense stacks up that well against our offense, because I was listening to a podcast this morning on the way to work, and they were talking about how the Chargers or the Rams rely a lot on their linebackers, and that's great and all, but what's going to happen is there's going to be times where you're going to have a linebacker on Gronk, or you're going to have a linebacker on James White, and it's going to be either a too slow or just a bad size comparison kind of issue. So I feel like the Patriots might test the waters, but I can also see them just letting James Devlin, bulldoze people in the front for Sony to, break a big one or something like that. I feel like it's going to be similar to the Chiefs game, but I think they will test the waters a little bit to see what they can get away with.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, I think that you're looking at this is probably the most balanced defense now that they're playing, even though they think that their passing defense is a little bit weak. But in terms of pass rush and, run stopping ability, both those two things, so we're just talking the defensive line, they're pretty good at both. So I don't know if, if the Patriots go in, like Kenny, like you said, with the mindset of, okay, we're going to just try and establish run, they probably would do that, but I don't know if they're going to necessarily stick to that. I think they might maybe go like 50-50 on it. Like we got to figure out, this is the last game of the year. We got to figure out the one thing that's working. We're not going to go in there with a focus and just only do that.
Right. I just can't keep going back to the fact that I think personnel-wise, this team compares very, very nicely to the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. Yeah, I think you're right.
No. Yeah, I know. But the stars up front are in a little different spot. The stars for the Chargers, of course, are on the outside. Yep. And the stars for the Rams, they can move Aaron Donald around, but mostly you got Sue Donald there on the inside. Yep. So, I mean, we'll see how they end up working that around. But, yeah, I know another thing that I know, Evan, you want to talk about is just that whole nobody believes in us thing. Yeah. With Drew. I mean, Justin, I know you've been huge on that. I mean, Evan, and I know you wanted to talk about it too.
Yeah, Justin.
I got to defend that wall, man.
Yeah, I mean, you have gone at Rob Parker. Obviously, you're not fond of Kellerman. These guys have just, I mean, probably Shannon Sharp too. Anyone, like you said, you're defending the wall. So you've totally embraced this sort of like hate us because you ain't us, and also, I guess new this year, we're the underdogs. I know we have the Guy Boston Sports shirt that's saying, I know everyone thinks we suck, can't win any games, so we'll see. It'll be fun. I mean,
it's been fun.
Yeah, you wouldn't you consider yourself like you've totally embraced that?
Absolutely. I mean, I embraced I guess I embraced the underdog role a little, not a ton, but I've fully come around on embracing the fact that the entire country despises us as a fan base.
Oh, yeah. Hence your last article, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I wrote that, when I was younger, I was like, oh, dude, this team's like, the scrappy team and blah, blah, blah. And now it's like, we've just become this literal NFL Death Star where it's just like, oh, hey, your team? Yeah, that's cool. But you're dead. Yeah. And it's like, and I mean, I know this team doesn't need defending because their actions on the field speak, volumes, but it's fun when some, fan of some scrub team tries to say, I mean, I don't know. Did you guys see Robert Alford's tweet this morning?
He tweeted out the interception.
I actually did not. I haven't seen this.
He tweeted out the video of him picking off Tom Brady for the pick 6 in the Super Bowl, and I immediately clicked on it and was like, let's see this comments section. And it was everybody leaning into him being like, yeah, that's weird. You're not going to show the rest of that game? Really?
No, just in general, I can't even understand that. Like, hey, guys, look at this crazy pick that I had in this one game. Nobody's going to realize that it's the game we blew the 23 lead. I bet nobody will bring that up to me. Like, I don't know why you would post that.
Kenny, he even hashtagged Super Bowl 51.
Oh my God. But Justin, I have another question about that last thing. Didn't you start some sort of hashtag around Rob Parker or something like that, like a couple months ago?
Oh, no, that wasn't me who started it, but I was fully in support of hashtag Rob Parker is a coward.
Oh, okay.
No, there was literally a whole Twitter page.
You should just take credit for it. Jeez, you just missed your opportunity there.
I made it, and it was fully my idea.
There you go.
But no, it was just, but I think it was WEEI was trying to have Rob Parker come on the show and defend his absolute trash take. And he was just like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And everybody's like, you're a big coward, bro. Like, come on. Like, you can't have these shit takes and then just not back them up. You can't just. It's like Kellerman who keeps like clinging onto this cliff idea. It's like
right.
I don't know what the term is, but it's like
Stubborn.
Eventually, no, I think it's I don't know. It's so dumb, but it's like if I keep saying something like, let's go along the lines of like, I'm gonna have pizza today, and I don't have pizza for like a month, but then I have pizza.
Yeah,
technically,
it's like
I was right.
He gets vindication. He's vindicated out of being able.
Exactly.
Like,
can,
I told you this 3 years ago, but the cliff wasn't 3 years ago. Like,
it's like he wants to like have these awful takes, but just kind of like distance himself from them as well, where he can be like, in 5 years when Brady has 4 more Super Bowl rings and basically New England just absolves the rest of the country. It's just like, then he'll be like, I told you.
Right.
And it's like, okay, that's great, Max. Like, you were right a decade ago. Congrats. Although I don't think he'll be on ESPN in 5 years, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Also, didn't someone block you on Twitter too? Was that something that happened?
Oh, Cassius Marsh. Yeah, I
okay.
torched that dude on my personal account, and he blocked me months ago. It was when he was on the team. It was like that. It was the game where he had that picture of him lying face down on the ground after trying to chase somebody down. I think it was someone on the Ravens. But I torched him that night, and then I looked online. I looked on Twitter the next morning, and he'd blocked me, and I was like, well, that's kind of a point of pride that I torched this dude for being terrible enough to where he at least saw me and went, oh, this guy, and then blocked me. And so I was like, I could do that again. So I just berated him for like days on end because he was talking all that crap when he left the Patriots. Literally, we didn't have fun. It's like, what's fun, dog? Being in the Super Bowl 3 years in a row. Yep. So I just demolished him. And then he finally blocked me, and I got what I wanted.
Right. Yeah. I Justin, as you guys can tell, full-on supporter of Savage Patriots Twitter at CheapSeatPod. But but Justin, I mean, back to the whole thing of the nobody believes in us stuff and all that stuff. What would your response be to this counter movement of like saying it's not true? Nobody, it's not true that nobody believes in the Patriots, and that's the Patriots for totally making that up, and the Patriots are just making this narrative of all this stuff. I mean, do you believe that? And I have another question. Do you like this move? Like, do you like it? Do you wish this isn't like? Do you not believe it yourself? Are you like, I mean, we're this huge dynasty. What do you mean nobody believes in us? Or so those two things. What do you think of the people that are backlashing against it? Do you even like it in the first place?
I mean, to the people who say that nobody can't believe in the Patriots, I have a question. Have you been online or watched any sort of sports channel since week 3? Because after losing to the Jaguars and the Lions, we were dead in the water apparently, and now we're 4 days out from the Super Bowl, and the Patriots are in it. Okay, cool. As for like embracing the underdog role, that's one that I'm kind of iffy about. Like, I like being the underdog because it reminds me of obviously the first Super Bowl that we won. We were 14-point underdogs. Do you guys know the line for underdog? Was it like?
Yeah, I think it was 13.5. I think I heard 13.5 today.
Okay, so it's like basically the same thing.
No. I meant for underdog status. I have no idea what that is. I was just saying that I think I heard that the line for Patriots Rams in 2001 was 13.5, but I don't know I think underdog. Yeah, I think it's as long as you're not favored, you're probably the underdog, right?
Yeah, no, I think we're 2. I think it's this Super Bowl. It's 2.
The Patriots are favored this year, -2.5 now. But it started at +1, so they were underdogs to open the lines, and within a couple hours, it changed 3.5 points, and now they're favored.
Okay, well, then something must have. I'm guessing probably what they saw was that video of Gronk just dancing, and they were like, "Uh-oh."
Well, actually,
it's the public.
Actually,
so the public, public hammered. The public saw that Vegas released a +1, and then thousands upon thousands of people bet that +1, and it moves the line automatically. So that's what happened. I mean, I
think 80% of the money is actually on the Patriots, and people just pounded once they saw the Patriots weren't favored. They were like, "Oh my God, the Patriots!" It's that whole thing of nationally, like the Patriots aren't favored. What? They're obviously going to win. I'm going to bet on them. I'm sure there was a lot of that. So.
I took the Patriots after they lost to the Lions to win the Super Bowl, and then I doubled down after they lost to Tennessee. So I'm looking at a pretty penny if they can pull this one out.
Yeah, is Dion Lewis still breathing, or did his heart just like kind of stop?
Well, I don't know. The
Hey,
Patriots.
Justin, that's what happens when you go cheap. You get your ass beat. That's what happens.
Yeah, real cheap, man. You know what's nice? A Super Bowl bonus.
Oh, it's
real
great.
cheap.
It's great. That was such a. Sean had said it on the Boss Talk. He had said it too. He's like, you wait like 6 weeks, and you'll see who's gonna be the one that's like laughing and blah blah blah. Perfectly called, because I mean, Tennessee.
We're
that's
literally
their
in the
Super Bowl
again.
and it's without him. It's like now he actually has no ground to stand on. It's like
exactly.
It's not even. I don't know. It's you. That's why I bet on them again. I was like, these type of things. I took them after two of their worst losses. The Lions and then the Titans, and it was like their two most in history in the last, I guess, 2 decades. It was their worst odds to win the Super Bowl. I was like, that screams money to me.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, as it should.
I know, and same thing with the AFC Championship. They already pulled through for me for that. So, monetary standpoint, the Patriots are keeping your boy Ev alive.
You should bet on them changing the overtime rules next year, because apparently when the Patriots win in overtime, it's a problem. But when the Rams do it, it's just fine.
Yeah, but then you look at the stats too. It's like, oh, the Chiefs never had a chance. What happened in the Rams game? The Rams literally started on defense. And also,
dude, I said this on my show last week. Okay, it's not the way that overtime used to be. You don't get the ball, drive 50 yards, let your kicker hit a 45-yarder, and everybody goes home. If you don't want to lose in overtime, make sure your team has a defense. And I also brought up the time that, because Dan on the show was trying to refute me on it about how it's basically just a flip of the coin. And I went back to the game that I was talking about with Kenny about superstitions, the Denver game.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriots didn't take the ball in overtime. They gave it to the Broncos to start the game. To start overtime, they gave them the ball. They won the toss and said, nah, we'll let our defense play a game.
Right.
And they ended up winning. You know why? Because their defense stopped them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's you look at the stats. I think in college football or in the pros, and it was in college too, based on the coin flip. I know college does it a lot differently, but the coin flip, it was like 50-50. It literally was. I think it was like 50.48 or something for the team that wins the coin toss in the NFL in the last, since they started doing the vamped up rule change. It was 50%. It's like, you still have just as many opportunities. Look at the Rams. They did it. Everyone wants to talk about the no call. Yeah, that was a big deal, but how about the Rams also played defense in overtime?
Yes, exactly. Which is what Travis Kelce can't seem to wrap his head around. It's
right.
I get that your boy, Pat Mahomes wasn't able to get on the field, but maybe you should, instead of advocating for a rule change, advocate for your defensive coordinator, your next defensive coordinator to come in and actually use part of his brain on making stops in overtime. Or maybe, tell your head coach when you guys are on the 2-yard line and it's second down and you're all breathing heavily, hey, dude, maybe we should take a timeout.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Justin, as for the Super Bowl, what are some things that you think people should watch for outside of just, dark horse predictions and, all the keys to the game, all that stuff? Are there any players specifically that, are there any trends? I guess let's just go key to the game, right? What do you think the key to this game is for the Patriots or the Rams? What's the thing that's going to change things in either direction?
If the Patriots can maintain control of Aaron Donald, this game could get out of hand quickly for the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, they have. Listen, I'm a full believer in Shaq Mason. I think he's one of the best guards in the league. I'm really happy that he took that contract, because he could have got a lot more in the open market. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, you give Aaron Donald, Shaq Mason, and David Andrews, it is not going to be easy for him. But a lot of people are saying they'll put him on the other side with then match him up with Joe Thuney and David Andrews. That we'll see how that matchup goes. But the Patriots are going to have to contain Aaron Donald, because you cannot let the Rams get to you with 4, because listen, Aaron Donald is otherworldly. Belichick said he was unblockable, but if you want to win the Super Bowl, you got to block him.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, there's no way around. You can't just, have one of those plays where, the offensive lineman stands up and he doesn't know who he's guarding. It's like, dude, if your hands aren't on anybody, put them on Donald.
Right.
Doesn't matter what side of the field you're on. If you have to run from one side of the line to the other to put your hands on this guy, do it, because he will destroy your backfield by himself.
Right.
I have another question real quick. Is just what do you, because we haven't talked about this, and I think you're a great person to ask. What do you make of the Nick Roby-Coleman comments? We just did talk about a little bit about the Saints-Rams game, the pass interference. But what do you think of his comments earlier this week? I think specifically they were that, Tom Brady, he's old. He doesn't do the same things anymore. He doesn't do them as well. It's stuff along those lines. He was kind of trying to backtrack, but basically what he said was he's not the same player anymore. He can't do what he used to do. So, do you think that's a real factor in this game? He's going to get Edelman. So, how do you think this whole thing plays out? What was your first reaction when you heard those comments?
My first reaction was talking shit about the Patriots before a Super Bowl always goes super well. And secondly, his Twitter handle is @SlotGod.
Yep.
And first of all, that's the cheesiest thing I've ever heard. That would be like any of us having the Twitter handle @PodGod or something like that.
And that's pretty good.
Ooh.
Well, there you go. Take it. It's yours.
Yeah.
I do want royalties though.
I'm sure someone already has it.
I'm sure. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, if he has to cover Edelman for the whole day, dude, he's in for an afternoon. Because, I mean, Edelman is hype just to begin with, but I mean, Super Bowl Edelman is it's just like a methed out maniac of a human being who is just ridiculous at football. But yeah, I don't know. The comments were stupid when I heard them. And he's in for an afternoon if he's going to have to try to cover Edelman by himself.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, this guy played for the Buffalo Bills, so I'm sure he'll be used to what's going to happen to him on Sunday.
Why he's complaining.
Yeah. So
it is kind of spectacular to me that the Rams have two key players on the teams that both played for the Bills. I'm like, oh, they're going to be used to losing to the Patriots, so this will be easy for them. But Robert Woods and Nick Roby-Coleman, I'm talking about both of those guys, and I've heard some people talk about the fact that Stephon Gilmore could get Robert Woods. I actually love that matchup. You put Gilmore on Woods.
Yeah.
You do exactly to Cooks what you did to Hill.
Yep.
And then the Rams have no tight end. And then everybody else can pretty much just focus on Gurley. I like how those matchups play for the Patriots.
Yeah. So,
absolutely.
So Justin, who's the dark horse? It can be on either side of the ball. Can't be the easy answer like a Tom Brady or something. But who's the dark horse Patriots player that's going to make a huge difference?
Philip Dorsett.
Philip Dorsett. I love that one.
Yes, Justin.
Yeah, Shawn had said Chris Hogan.
I brought that pick up on the show on Sunday. We were talking about who do we think's going to be the X factor in the game, and I immediately blurted out because I think Dan was the one that proposed the question. And I immediately said Philip Dorsett, and I was like,
it's
I don't
interesting.
know, something about it just says he's going to have a day.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I
interesting,
love it.
Justin. We've had 3 people on, Palmer, and then Drew, and then you. Everyone said a wide receiver. The first 2 said Hogan. You say Dorsett. So everybody, wide receiver is the key to this game.
Yeah, I feel like they're just going to be well, they both had kind of crappy years, so just put one person on, and then all of a sudden, Philip Dorsett just flies past the QB at Mach 5.
I hope
he's wide open, and Brady just throws it up.
I hope Sean's prediction is right. Sean gave, what did he give, Kenny? He gave 2. No, he gave
Yeah, he said 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns and 100 yards or something for Hogan.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think it's what he. I think it's what he did.
Just get it.
Right, I think he did that to the Steelers a couple years ago. I think it was the playoff.
Are you kidding me?
It was the AFC Championship game. He had 1,000 yards.
If he does that, then let's go. I mean, if he does that, that'd be unreal. All right, so Justin, what's your we'll wrap up here? What's your official score prediction?
I can't.
No,
I can't. I talked to Kenny about this. Me and AJ and a few of the guys early in the year, we started making predictions, and it was always before one of our soul crushing defeats. So I'm just gonna say let's go football. And
you don't even say who you think's gonna win, huh? Not even a score.
Nope. It's a sport game, and I'm excited for it.
You know what? Listen, we just talked about how everybody's gonna win. That's what I like to do. Not who's gonna win, how the game will be won.
That's fair.
Up front, on the D-line, this is where the game is going to be won. Whoever wins these matchups is going to win. I'm not going to tell you who will win it because I have no idea, but whoever wins these matchups is who's going to win. And that's way more valuable than saying, hey, this team's going to win. Anybody can say that. Anybody who just knows the team names can be like, this team's going to win. But breaking down how is way more important.
Yeah. I don't knock it. I mean, that is a strategy that you're using, Justin, to
defend myself
to defend one of you.
I don't want to sound stupid.
Yeah, you don't want to be like a Max Kellerman or a Rob Parker bringing it full circle.
See, if Kellerman was vague, I wouldn't care. But he's just wrong all the time, which is why I care. Because if I'm wrong at my job as consistently as he's wrong at his job, I would not have a job.
Yep. I know.
So it's not fair to the rest of the world having to hear these people like him and Rob Parker just ramble on about just literal nonsense and then them collect a ton of money. You know they're getting paid buku bucks to just come out and be like, Brady's old. The end. Give me $1 million, please.
All right, Justin, thank you for joining us. I'll give you one more chance here before we get you off. Anything else? Anything you want to say before you get off here? Whether it's to Nickel Roby Coleman, to Rob Parker, just to Patriots Nation. Anything you want to say before we let you go?
In the words of my father, keep the faith. In the words of me, I think Jared Goff's inexperience in big situations like this will affect the game on Sunday.
You mean Ryan Gosling? No, sorry. I said Justin, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, see ya.
All right, that was Justin Brooks, host of the Cheap Seats Pod. Make sure to check that out. And I want to talk about something that we touched on there, which is the whole nobody believes in us mentality that the Patriots have, because I think nationally it makes sense. You know, that a lot of people look at it and they're pissed off that the Patriots are basically looking at themselves as underdogs when they've been to the last 3 Super Bowls. Like, you're not the underdog.
Wild.
You're a dynasty. Yeah, this is what I thought of. Could you imagine if during the Bulls dynasty, when Michael Jordan was going for his 6th ring, if there were clips out there of Michael Jordan after a dominating win in their first playoff series win, if he was saying, yeah, I know everyone thinks we suck now and we can't win any games, you'd be saying, what? Are you kidding me?
I know.
You're Michael Jordan. What is it? What is this even guy talking about? If we were looking back on that now, like old footage of '98, and Michael Jordan said that, we would think Michael Jordan was delusional. Like, this is a dynasty to all of America, but for the Patriots to themselves, they're the little engine that could. They are the little engine. They are the they are the Hoosiers, the Rudy Hoosiers going to the Super Bowl, and I can understand from a national perspective why people are like, what are these guys talking about? But from a New England perspective, hey, you all thought we could get back to the Super Bowl, so I think it makes sense for both sides. But I mean, yeah, do you think it's really justified the Patriots taking up this stance? Because that's my thoughts on it.
It's so weird because you and I know, like, thinking about it in depth, and it's probably the way the Patriots think about it. And we talked about it earlier. I think you mentioned it. It was something like, well, no, it's not like no one thinks that. When Tom Brady said everyone thinks we suck and can't win games, no, he pretty much was saying no one thought that we'd go this far. Like, everyone still knew the Patriots were going to win the AFC East. People probably thought that they were going to go to the AFC Championship, and a lot of people picked them for the Super Bowl. So it was like no one ever was actually, oh, they stink. They are a bad football team. Like, they still went 11-5, but I think everyone, so what we can say it because we understand what they're saying. But the national people in all of America, like, they understand what they're saying too. You know what I mean? Like, they get that Tom Brady means we didn't meet expectations this year, and that's why you think we suck. But they just like to shit on the Patriots and be like, oh, well, no one actually thinks you suck. So it goes both ways. But it all just has to do with expectations. Like, the only reason Tom Brady said that people think we suck is because they won 11 games and not 14.
Yeah, it is about what these people have said about them in reference to what their expectations are. Right. It's not, you don't suck like the, like the Bucks. Cardinals suck.
Yeah, the Cardinals, but, exactly.
It's compared to themselves. And, that's I feel like on the one hand, the national media, that's where they're kind of hypocrites, right? Because they want to compare them to themselves and be like, this isn't the same team. They're not as good anymore as they were. And then when people are like, oh, you said we weren't the same team, we're not as good, they're like, oh, I didn't say it like that. I didn't,
right.
I still said I still knew you were good, obviously. And it's this kind of just double-edged sword.
It's a never-ending circle for that. But, Kenny, more power to the Patriots if they can internalize something as, like, I don't want to use the word silly, but something as silly as Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and probably Edelman getting the rest of the locker room to believe, hey, no one thought we were going to win this game. No one thought we were going to get here. When realistically, it's like, the season opened, and I think that they were still the number 1 team to win the Super Bowl in Vegas, if not the top 3. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like more power to them. Like, that's what's awesome, but that's why they're so different. Like, they can take this, which should be like a theoretical motivational thing, and they can just make it so real. Like, it's crazy. So I love it. I mean, I'm not necessarily embracing the underdog. I do love Justin how he mentioned embracing the hate. That I totally love now. I love that people hate the Patriots. I don't know if I'm fully on board the underdog thing, but you know what? If it works, then I'm riding it.
All right, Evan. I've had about enough of this. I've had about enough of you asking people, hey, who do you think is going to be the key to the game? What do you think the dark horse player is? What's your score prediction? It's time for you to sit on the hot seat, Evan. It's time for you to answer these questions.
Come on, I'm supposed to be asking
you keep trying to get it out of everybody else, Poor Justin. He doesn't want to make a score prediction. You put him on the spot.
That was
all
pretty
right?
nice, though. That was pretty
he's
nice
like
to
a
him.
deer in headlights. I can't really give score prediction because I don't do that anymore. He's scared to death. All right, now you know what? How about you give your score prediction and your dark horse and your key player?
Justin just quit Guy Boston. He's like, well, I'm not writing and I'm not doing any more podcasts now that you asked me that.
I failed. I didn't give a prediction.
All right, so Kenny, you know, but no one else listening knows that I do have a Patriots predictions and kind of keys to the game and picks coming out. I'll probably do it maybe Saturday. This is going to come out tomorrow, hopefully. So, but I'll say it.
Spoilers ahead, guys. Spoilers ahead.
If you're planning on reading the article, then I mean, just do both. We want to have the minutes played, and we also want to have the clicks. So, what do you want to start with? You want to start with my key to the game?
Go for it. Go for key to the game.
So we've heard everyone say the offensive line, which is obviously, I think that is the number one key to the game. But I'll go in depth. I've been able to abuse everyone else and have them give a key to the game. So I'll give something different. I think it's going to be Todd Gurley. I think that we've seen Todd Gurley the last couple of weeks not necessarily being even the premier running back there. It's been C.J. Henderson, and Todd Gurley has stunk. But now the rumor's out that Todd Gurley looks as good as he ever has looked. He's the Todd Gurley we're all used to seeing, according to head coach Sean McVay. And you know what? I think Patriots fans, including myself, we're just overlooking Todd Gurley. Everyone's talking about Aaron Donald. I get it. But how about the guy that is one of, and I think flashback to last year, maybe the most dynamic running back in the game, was unbelievable on the ground, in the air. That is a tough task if he's actually going to play at that level. That's the type of guy that can win a game for a team. So my key to the game is limiting Todd Gurley, keeping him contained. You know what I mean? Just make Jared Goff win this game for the Rams. Don't let Todd Gurley do it for them.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good one because Todd Gurley, I think it can swing either way with him in terms of how healthy he is or what his mindset is. A lot of people are talking about in that Saints game, he basically got benched.
Right.
There was that, really to start that game, horrible sequence for Todd Gurley. He gets stopped in the backfield for a 4-yard loss by Demario Davis, and then Goff throws a pass that clangs right off his hands, and then Demario Davis picks it off. So Gurley was not good in that game, and if he's the same way in this game, it's going to be tough for the Rams to handle the Patriots.
Yes, which is why... And like you had said, you phrased it actually really well when we were talking about it. Not necessarily talking about who's going to win the game, but talk about what can win the game and lose the game. Exactly. Todd Gurley can definitely win the game for the Rams. But if you shut Todd Gurley down, the Rams will have a very tough time winning the game against the Patriots. They clearly did it the past couple weeks. But how about my dark horse? Yeah, we gonna get them all out of me.
Go for it. Yeah, all at once. Dark horse, and then I want your predictions. If you snake out of it, I swear to God, Evan, I swear to God.
I could just end the call. All right, my dark horse is going to be J.C. Jackson. I think that a guy that was getting penalties called on him, it seemed like every single play against the Chiefs. Somehow they still managed to squeak it out. But J.C. Jackson, I feel like, has been a pretty underrated. I don't want to say stud, but he's been pretty good. You know what I mean? He's had a good year coming out of nowhere. And I can see him just making a big play. I don't want to say he's going to either lock down, I don't know, whoever he would be out there playing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that he's going to have this consistent, really good game, but I'm saying J.C. Jackson is going to have 4 minutes left. Jared Goff needs to go and get 3 points type of thing. J.C. Jackson picks him off. That type of thing. That's what I'm going on as my dark horse. So it's kind of a very specific dark horse prediction, almost like a dark play, just X factor play.
Yeah, so the big play in this game is going to be made by J.C.
Right.
Jackson.
Yeah, because I don't want to be tied to, if anyone's listening to this and trying to keep it on record, I don't want to be tied to J.C. Jackson's is going to have a lockdown day. I think
someone please write this down, tweet it out, tag me in it. I will retweet your tweet if you do, so we can have this pinned.
Well,
but anyway, continue.
I'll make multiple copies of this tape so I can get this out there. But yeah, so I think that he's going to have it. And I also think that he's not necessarily a dark horse, but Kyle Van Noy, I think he's been very big. But I don't know if I think he's going to keep doing what he's doing. But J.C. Jackson's my dark horse. What do you think of that? That is a dark horse, Kenny.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how big a role he's going to play in this game. Obviously, he did get a lot of penalties on Chris Connolly. I suppose he's going to be guarding
Reynolds.
What's that? Is it Everett? Yeah, Reynolds or Everett, one of those two.
Yeah, Everett plays a lot of tight tight endy positions too. So my guess right now is Reynolds, because Reynolds is actually a pretty decent part of that offense. He plays a lot of snaps, and like there's been games where he gets a lot of targets. He's the Cooper Kupp fill-in. So
right, yeah.
it's,
So yeah, I don't think he's. The point is being that I think, like I said before, that Gilmore is going to get Woods,
Yep.
and they're probably going to play. I would assume Keon Cross and Jonathan Jones. That's what they did with Hill.
So then
they're going to
so
just
then
do
that third
one
guy
of those
might
guys.
Yeah.
One of those guys on Cooks and safety help over the top is how they kind of shut down Hill. So I'm assuming they'll do the same in terms of Cooks. So yeah, I mean, I guess Reynolds would be the guy that you would see J.C. Jackson on, and I'm sure if you're just looking for one big play, I don't think he's a bad choice because J.C. Jackson's been a ball hawk this year.
Yeah, right.
All over the field.
It's not like
But
a
Evan,
ridiculous take.
I see you shifting it over to me. Okay, we need your prediction. You can say what you want to say, but we need your prediction too.
He sniffed it out. Oh, you sniffed it out. All right, my official prediction. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're on a desk or a table, I want you to do a little bit of drum roll for yourself. My official prediction is Patriots 34, Rams 27. That is the over right now in Vegas is like 56.5. So I'm saying that it's going to be a fairly high scoring. I think that's the highest score that we've had right now, right? Shawn didn't say that. Yeah, Shawn didn't say it, and Drew was 31-21. So. Yeah, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. The Patriots going to win by, 7? Good math, yeah. So my official prediction is 34-27.
Yeah, well,
you got it out
not
of
a
me.
bad one.
You got it out
I'll
of
go into my key and my dark horse. I mean, I've talked about it really the whole podcast, but I just can't go away from it now and pick something else. It's the battle at the line of scrimmage. You know, whether it's Donald and Sue, and even
Dante Fowler Jr.,
yes, off the edge. Those guys versus Trent Brown, Shaq Mason, Mark Scanlon, Joe Thuney, and Eddie Andrews. That's the battle that is going to be waged. And if they get pressure on Brady with 4, the Patriots are in trouble. If the Patriots, force them to blitz, the Rams are in trouble. So that is going to be the key matchup to me as far as the game-wise goes. I've already talked about it at length, so we don't need to touch too more on that. But as far as a key player, dark horse, is Rob Gronkowski a dark horse at this point?
Ooh,
I mean...
I'd grant you it. If you're gonna say, what is the? Then maybe you gotta kind of follow up and say what type of game.
Rob Gronkowski, his best game of the season.
Okay, then I'll take that. That's obviously.
Listen, I went into last year's Super Bowl and I said the same thing, and I had Shawn tweeting at me at halftime, being like, "I thought Gronk was gonna have a big game. He only has like 1 catch for 10 yards or something."
Yeah,
Gronk ended up having over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game.
I think he had 9 catches too.
Half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
went off in the second half.
Okay.
So,
well, that's good. Then we're kind of continuing this because if Gronk's going to have a big game, then KJ Doyle needed to say that, and you did it.
No, I'm going the same way this year. I mean, I look at the Rams defense. They're terrible against tight ends. I think they've given up the most or the second most yards to tight ends in the league. And I think, look, this is probably going to be Rob Gronkowski's last football game. And he showed last week that it's not because he can't play anymore. He still has all the ability to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to go out there and be like, all right, this is the last time I'm playing football. I'm going to go off. Like, I'm going to show people what I can do.
I love that prediction.
I'm going to go out on top. I'm going to give everything I got against this defense that can't cover me. I mean, Dan Arnold was the Saints tight end last week.
Mm-hmm.
The Cowboys tight end, I don't even know who it is since Jason Witten left. These tight ends are terrible.
They have a couple ones, Swiss or Sweat, something like that. But exactly, that's the point. You can't even think of them.
And Dan Arnold, the backup tight end, because Ben Watson came out, he almost caught a touchdown. He dropped it in the end zone, but he should have had a touchdown over Mark Barron in that game. So I think that when the Rams face Rob Gronkowski, they're not going to know what hit him. They have not faced a tight end this talented in a couple of weeks, and they're going to have their hands full. So quite frankly, their linebacking core is not that good. Their safeties aren't that good. I think they're going to probably focus a lot of their linebackers' effort on watching James White, and I think that's going to leave Rob Gronkowski open in certain situations. So I'm saying Rob Gronkowski is a dark horse. You want me to give someone that's not Gronk? I mean, I already give Gronk, but I can tell you were like, well, yeah, Rob Gronkowski, second best player on the Patriots.
But the way you said it, I will grant it. But yeah, I think you should give the people what they want. Give them a dark horse, because what you just said is there. It is. It needed to happen. It needed to happen.
No, I can't steal Justin's. I'll just go Keon Cross and Jonathan Jones. I'll go those two.
Right.
I guess I just think the matchup as far as Brandon Cooks goes, they're going to shut him down. Yep. So it's going to be those guys. Maybe Daron Harmon seems to always have a big pick. He hasn't had one in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I guess final answer, Daron Harmon. I'm going to go Daron Harmon / Gronk are my two, since I have to pick someone that's not Gronk. Harmon he's always had the big picks. It seems like in every playoff run. He hasn't had one yet this year, so he's gonna have it this Super Bowl. That's the only logical place for it to happen. It needs to happen. So
I like that. And then so you went key to the game, offensive line, like is and like I said, that is mine too. But if I just wanted to expand, and then you go Gronk, and Gronk is your 1A. What you did is you're kind of here's my white horse pick, but he's gonna be a white horse with a shining armor knight on top of him, so that still counts. And then your dark horse is Drawn Harmon, which I like. Kenny, what are the chances I get a prediction out of you?
That's a good question. If I predict the chances, is that a prediction technically?
Oh my! What is it? What is your prediction of the game?
My prediction, as far as whether or not you'll get a prediction out of me, is 0%.
Oh my
so that's
God.
my prediction.
Look at
this.
this.
We'll see if I'm right. I don't know.
You know what I'm gonna do?
We'll see.
I'm gonna somehow dub up numbers that you have said this podcast, and I'm gonna put them together. It's gonna be 10 to 4, and then it's gonna be your prediction. So I mean, there you go.
That'll sound great. But no,
that'll sound natural.
You'll just have me saying Aaron Donald's number or something throughout this. 99 12. What?
Yeah.
What's going on?
No. I don't know. You said 2001, 2004. There's numbers out there.
Listen, I'm putting my prediction as 0% chance you get a prediction out of me because, listen, I just don't think Kenny's going to put a prediction. He explained to Justin that it's not about who's going to win the game. Any idiot can say, oh, this team's going to win, that team's going to win. It's about why you're going to win. And I think I've done a thorough job of explaining that. Yeah. Even if you don't think so on this podcast, I have the podcast with Shane. I've done a ton of Patriots content, ton of Patriots Rams podcasts leading up to this. And you know what, Ev? I've reached my limit. That's it for me. Okay, I can't give the prediction. I've reached the line was right before the score prediction. Unfortunately, we didn't quite make the time barrier as far as that goes. So unfortunately, I was all podcasted out, and we did not get the prediction out of me. I'm out of gas here. Right. So unfortunately, so that's how it's gonna be.
All right, I want everyone listening to just remember, when it came down to the two final people on here, KJ Doyle and Ev Singleton, who gave you their prediction? Who wanted to go above and beyond and just put themselves on the line for the listeners? That's me.
Well, I'm just gonna say that my prediction, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be right. That I'm not gonna give a prediction.
That is true.
I think I gave a pretty good prediction.
You do have a foolproof plan. Yeah. All right. Well, Kenny, that was the third annual. Kenny, you did a good job running this thing, main cog in this. So I mean, it's. The last thing I'll say is it is wild.
For the fourth annual.
That's what I was gonna say. It is wild that we've now done this 3 years in a row, and it's always about the Patriots. And we haven't even had to discuss do we still want to do a Super Bowl roundtable if the Patriots aren't in it? Because we don't even have to worry about that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Since the site's been going, we've always had the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Which now that I'm saying that out loud, Kenny, I think GuyBostonSports.com has a lot to do with the success of the Patriots.
That you may have a case to make there.
Yep, I think so.
All right, well, guys, thank you for listening to the Guy Boston Sports Roundtable. Be sure to check out everything on Guy Boston Sports. We're gonna have a ton of Super Bowl content. Like I said, a ton of podcasts are up. Chief Seats guys talked about it. On Wicked Smart, we talked about it. We're gonna have a ton of articles up around it, and obviously the big trades in the NBA. A lot of dramas going on in the NBA. Trade deadlines coming up, so a lot of stuff's happening. Kristaps Porzingis, Anthony Davis. Make sure if you want to hear about anything because we have to talk Patriots because of all this craziness. There are articles for you to check out all over Guy Boston Sports, so be sure to check that out. You can follow Evan on Twitter at EvGuyBoston. Follow me on Twitter at KJ Doyle GBS. Follow Shawn on Twitter at PalmerGuyBoston. Follow Justin on Twitter at CheapSeatPod. Follow Drew on Twitter at Rock'n'RollChem. And that's it. We'll see you guys next Super Bowl.
All right, see you guys. Let's go. Go Pats.